I don't have time to make false hopes for people.
Right.
I'm here to try and train you as quickly as possible so you can start earning an income as possible. And I think, we've created more six-figure agents in this industry on this team than anybody in the entire GTA.
So welcome. This is our first podcast.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This is amazing. What an amazing step in the right direction.
I think so, especially with what's happening nowadays.
In the world we live in.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, everyone has a fair opportunity, it seems like, to present themselves and share their stories and use the internet and podcasts and Instagram and social media to show the world, who they are, I guess.
Exactly.
A little bit. Right.
And I was telling you before we actually started this podcast is that when I brought this up to my friends, family, and whatnot, their first question was, a man like Hans has so much experience and knowledge about the industry because of so many transactions.
Yeah.
And everyone is well aware of that. Right. But it's like, how can he provide value to us? And so we can learn, we can get some knowledge out of him and begin a transaction. We need that. We need that. And I feel like people need to be educated more.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Sure. Are you talking from a buyer standpoint or an agent standpoint?
Buyer.
Okay.
Buyer right. Standpoint.
Okay. From a buyer standpoint, obviously you want to work with someone who has as much knowledge as possible.
Absolutely.
No different than, you would want to go out and, if you were in a legal case, you want to get the highest educated, most knowledgeable lawyer out there.
Of course.
The difference is when you're choosing lawyers, their hourly rate can range from, $100 an hour to $1,000 an hour, right? So with real estate agents, it's not really like that.
No.
You can gain this knowledge just by being smart enough to choose the right real estate agent.
That's what it is.
And the way you do that is just taking a look at their statistics, taking a look at their social media, see how many solds they've done, taking a look at
how active they are on social media.
Social media, for example, and seeing their solds, not their cat or something else,
right.
or a walk in the park or them cheersing champagne at a club.
Right.
Are they selling houses? Are they listing houses?
Right.
And you can see that from our Instagram page. How far back can you go? You can go back and you can see hundreds and hundreds of transactions on our page. So that's something that definitely can set someone apart from other people. And you want to work with that people. But most of the people, they talk to the first person. They choose the first person they like.
Right. I see what you're saying.
Regardless. And that's why some of the people can actually get by in this industry because they're targeting first-time buyers, for example, and the first-time buyer is not too sure. Does this person have a knowledge or doesn't have knowledge and experience? And one of the great thing about our team is all that questions, they all come back to me. So anytime someone has a question, it comes back to me. So I'm getting hit with, 20, 30, 50, 100 questions in a day about real estate every day. And that's what I do. I eat,
even
sleep.
mid-podcast. That door, we were talking about that earlier.
You saw that, right?
Where
one agent come in, another agent's coming in, the deal secretary's coming in. So it's a constant thing that I'm just totally comfortable with now.
Right.
Right. When you're first starting out, it's not as comfortable as you're used to because you're used to an 8-hour time shift, right? This is almost 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And you have to figure out how to adjust. Schedule your time properly.
Schedule it.
And just get your head around the fact that, listen, you're in real estate.
Yeah.
People are going to call you at 12 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
People are not sleeping.
Yeah.
They just placed an offer and they're waiting.
Absolutely.
First-time buyers are the most nervous people in the world.
Have you experienced that?
Oh my God, yeah. 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. Hans, I'm not sleeping. I get the text message. Wow. Hans, I'm not sleeping. Are you up?
And you reply no hesitation?
I used to.
Wow.
Now I have team members in place to help with that, right?
Yeah.
And
but at the beginning, that's something that you did.
It was on my card, 24 hours. And first-time buyers love to take advantage of that. And I proved that, I put it on my card. Right. It's my word. I'm going to do it.
Right.
So, it was always on. So it's
interesting.
It was really interesting in the beginning.
So something that I want to bring up here is we talked about this the other day as well.
Yeah.
With social media, it's very interesting because, you know, everyone knows an agent. And so you go on their Instagram page and it's what you said. It's their cat, it's their dog. Oh, and I sold the house. Yeah. It's my cousin, Happy New Year, this, that. Yeah. Oh, and I just listed a house.
Yeah. The best ones are, I'm out clubbing with my short skirts and high heels.
And now the next post.
Or the fancy shirt on.
And now I'm professional.
And now all of a sudden, like you said, I sold the house, right?
Right.
And that's the, you know, that's the young gun image that people like to have, that I'm not just working, work hard, play hard, tend to a mentality. And that's the, and that's, you know, in essence, the dream. So people want to show that they're living the dream.
The dream.
And the reality is that's not the success model. You're not going to become successful that way. You should go work hard, and you should definitely play hard 100%.
Right.
But in real estate, presentation's everything.
Right.
It's sales. So anything that's going to be successful, it has to have a great presentation. And if I'm thinking that 50% or 70% or 80% of the time you're out playing, because that's what it looks like, and 20% of the time you're working, it's not a good presentation.
And consistency, right? Like when you go to a real estate agent's page, you want to know what you're about to get. You know, when it's consistent, like our Instagram on Hans Team. It's very consistent. You go, you know exactly what you're about to get.
Yeah, and so when I first started out with the Instagram, everybody everybody I knew said, Hans, they want to see you, they want to see your kid, they want to see you walking the dog.
Real estate 101.
They want to see you having a little coffee drink. Right. They want to see you just being you in casual clothes.
Right.
I go, that's nice.
So what'd you say?
No. We're not doing it that way. I've never done real estate that way. I've been known to be the guy that Hans does real estate and that's it. I mean, one of the best compliments I ever got early in my career is I was sitting there with the client and I had done my full presentation and they loved it. And the wife goes, can we get a house with a pool? Because I was going through all the details of what they're looking for at that point. And she looks at the husband smiling and whatnot. And then the wife goes, yeah, and can I get a pool boy as well? And they were joking. They were really good with each other, right? They were, I think they were in their 30s, early 40s, around there, right? So they were just joking back and forth. They had a couple of kids. And you know what the husband said?
What does he say?
The husband goes, the only pool boy you'll ever get is if Hans is your pool boy. And I'll tell you what that meant.
Wow.
That meant he trusted me so much and that I was so professional and that all I did was real estate. There was no joking. There was no talking about kids. There was nothing but real estate. All I've done my career is do real estate. I'm 100% business because it's a big business transaction. To me, selling a product for $500,000 at that time, now $1 million to $2 million to $3 million. This is huge numbers.
Absolutely.
And an enormous amount of trust that someone's putting on my shoulders. And that's, you know, I took that as a huge compliment. I tell that story quite often that, you know, and I'm not a bad looking guy, especially when I was younger. I was
you're a great looking guy.
I was a pretty decent looking guy back then. And so
you still are.
It's still stuck in my head now. And that was like almost 15 years ago.
Right.
That happened. And I was going, that was a great compliment. That someone trusts me to say something. And subconsciously they're saying it joking. Like I'm not saying that I'm never going to be a pool boy.
Right.
But I'm just saying.
You live and breathe this
real
industry.
Estate. Yeah, I'm all business. Wow. So why would I then go and not be who I am on my Instagram? So everyone's saying, oh, they want to see you, the real you. Well, that is the real you. I get up in the morning, I do real estate. I go to lunch. One day I'm going to do the clip of how I do lunch. I do real estate. Then the next step that I do at nighttime, I go home, I eat dinner. I'm on the phone with real estate. So I wake up, eat, sleep, and I dream about real estate. And that's what I've been doing.
Your dreams are real estate?
Yeah, fuck
You're kidding.
Yeah, buying bigger real estate and more real estate. Why not?
Wow.
Right? Don't you dream about real estate?
Absolutely.
Don't you dream about getting a vacation home?
Wow.
Living on the beach, having a house with a beach view or an ocean view?
Yeah, of course.
Or maybe penthouse downtown with a view of the lake?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, there you go. Okay, of course. So we all sort of dream of real estate too,
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
But to always have it on your mind, I mean, that just says how much experience you really have.
And that shows from the page. Right. So that's, I mean, I really love this business. And it's funny I say that because a lot of people say, oh, you got to get into something you love. And I've always thought, okay, yeah, you got to get into something you love, but you also have to learn to love whatever you do.
Right.
So for example, I was selling shoes for a little while there and the president of the company came and met with me and he looked in my eyes and goes, oh, you're a shoe man. And I was like,
what do you say to that? Yes, I am.
Yeah. I smiled back and I was like thinking to myself, yeah, no, I didn't say that to him, but I smiled back. I said, thank you for that. I appreciate that.
Right.
All right. Because it shows that he thinks I'm so passionate about what I do. And that's some of the things that a lot of people don't understand. You can love whatever you do. It's not that you have to find something you love. You can actually fall into something and just learn to love it. Right. And that's more of a technique and a skill that can be acquired by anybody, just if you have the right thought process.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
No, that's great. The Instagram, just to go back to that,
yeah,
I think is phenomenal. Like with so many agents out there and new ones are coming out every day.
Yeah.
They're so keen on success means every fifth post is about real estate and whatnot. Yeah. But if I want someone as a real estate agent, I want you to know the industry inside out. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And that's what it shows. So one of our team members just told us recently, Miriam, she ended up going to the bank. Okay. And she's just started having a discussion about real estate, which was really cool. Okay. And then the agent said, I'm thinking about possibly selling, right? Right. Which we asked the right questions. If you're a real estate, you should be asking real estate questions. Absolutely. And she did. And she goes, okay, check out our Instagram page. Okay. Now, obviously, her page has very little real estate on it because she's more doing staging and other stuff. I see. And personal stuff. And it wasn't a dedicated. So she sends over that page.
Not her page, but the team page.
The team page. She's on the team and she should do that.
Of course.
You should be using the tools as best 100%. As you can.
They're up for grabs.
The bank teller, who I'm sure runs into a lot of agents, called her the next day and said, come by for a listing appointment.
No way.
I looked over your Instagram page. It looks fantastic.
And that's
come by and we'll talk and let's see what the value of my home is.
Wow.
Yeah. And she went in with our listing manager.
Right.
Sam.
Right.
And we listed the property, sold it for a record price. And they bought a house, and that's how it works, right?
Because and it was from that moment.
Just from not from that moment. That's been going on. That's just recent.
So that conversation ended at the bank of like, hey, check out the Instagram, and that's where the conversation.
Yeah, ended. Check out the Instagram. Crazy. Call me back. Here's my card. Call me back if you have any questions.
No follow up.
Do you know what our conversion rate? Do you know what a conversion ratio is from handing someone a business card?
From handing a physical business card?
Business card to get someone,
sure.
You talk to someone, oh, you have your business card, here it is.
Of course.
Give me a call. Give me a call if you're thinking about making a move.
Right.
Right? Zero. Yeah, see? That's 0%. That's what I train my team members.
I see.
It's zero. You do not you don't even bother.
Right.
I don't carry, I stopped carrying business cards 10 years ago. You're either going to book or you're just going to use an excuse, which is called a business card. And we don't need to do that, right? So you're either a professional real estate agent, you're either going to book the appointment or you just walk away. You think, hey, nice talking, not talking to you. If they really like you, they'll look you up in anyways.
Right.
So
they will.
What do you need the business card for?
Fair
but
enough.
In this case, in this case, the reason why I'm showing the Instagram page works so well that she actually called back.
Wow.
And broke the 0% rule there. Yeah, but it was with a little bit of help. And that's because I don't have my kids. I don't have, me driving around on a motorbike or I don't drive a motorbike, but if I did, right,
if you did.
So
it wouldn't be on the story.
Exactly. So that's, Instagram for me is business. And what I try in the beginning, especially the young guns, they all want to show themselves and how much fun they're having and mix business and pleasure and that they're doing the whole package, right? They're living life to the large, right? Whatever it is, the thought process out there, right? The reality is, you should create a business presence, which is what we do. And then you should share that into your personal page or in your story, which then brings them to your personal page and then your business page. So you share them into your friends, family, and everything else. And what that should do then is then drive them from your story to go look at your business page. And when they look at your business, they go, wow, that's a lot of transactions. So when they talk to you, okay, wow, you're selling a lot of houses.
That's literally how the wording is. Wow, that's a lot of transactions. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're selling a lot of houses.
Mm-hmm.
And then they get intrigued. How are you doing that? Like, how's it working?
Right.
How's it with the Hans team? How does this happen? How's that happen? Like, and all of a sudden, what are you talking about?
Real estate.
Real estate.
Wow.
Yeah.
The conversation has to be flowing. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And they'll only do that once they see that business page of like, you're really taking this seriously. It's not just a side gig.
Yeah.
That you're doing.
I mean, you don't want them to go to your Instagram page and then say, oh my God, I saw your baby. Oh my God, I saw your little puppy. I'm sorry. I know you have the puppy.
No, please. No.
It's sitting on my subconscious. So when I say that, but that's what I would usually say. Like, oh my God, look what my dog can do. He does little flips. Yeah. Oh my goodness. What does that have to do with real estate?
Right.
I don't do that. I'm not really, I mean, great. I'm happy for you and great, cute. Unbelievable dog, and your baby's super cute. Every baby's super cute.
Right.
But I'm all about, okay, are you thinking about making a move? Right? And if you did move, why would that be, if you don't mind me asking?
Well, I think the issue behind it, personally, from what I see from the outside, is that once they do have that business page, what do you post? If you're not having a substantial amount of transactions, what do you post? You don't want to post something and then me going on your page and I see your first post was posted 3 months ago. Yeah.
Well, that comes down. So we just did a full loop there. That comes down to how do you vet, or how do you check out to see whether or not someone's active or not? Go to their social media.
Their first post.
They're either posting a bunch of quotes.
Yep.
Or they're posting, pictures of their dogs or cats or family members and the odd sale here and there. And you'll see that they just don't have transactions. And you want to work with someone who doesn't have transactions.
Exactly.
Do you want someone to negotiate the most valuable asset for you, where, a slip up can either you're going to lose the home of your dreams, or it's going to cost you $50,000, $100,000 more. By picking an agent who doesn't have experience.
Yeah.
Do you want to do that? That's your choice.
That's an incredible
you
way
can
to
do
put
that.
It. Right.
But it's easy to figure out, how do I know? Just go check their Instagram page, social media page, and their website.
And that's why I'm so excited for this podcast. It's like, it's a whole new presence on social media. We already have that going for us.
Yeah.
But with this, it's like now there's an actual face talking to us.
Yeah.
Now there's what's it called? Not concerns, but topics that are very in the air that I would love to know the answer to.
Yeah.
And now I know.
What's the driving force behind the Hans team logo I see all over town?
Exactly.
Right? Yeah,
exactly. Who is this guy?
Who is this guy?
Who is this guy? And can I see how he talks?
Yeah.
And talks about real estate. And sure, his face is there, logo, love it, color.
Yeah.
But I would love to see how he communicates.
Yeah.
And this is it.
Well, you're going to have a nice presentation if you're going to, hundreds and hundreds and if not thousands of listing presentations that I've done. So you learn presentation, but it's a different, beast, I would call it, being put onto a camera.
I would say.
And having a mic.
Yeah.
And having
it's kind of
having a young gun interview you here.
It just seems like it's like us now, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like it took about 10 minutes, but now I don't feel like the mics are really there.
Oh, I can get comfortable. You just have to do it, right? You got to face your fears and then the fear disappears.
100%.
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. Let's talk about the latest trends in your specific real estate market. So which areas would you say you're most present?
So everything for me started out of Richmond Hill.
Okay.
So I lived in Richmond Hill. I was in a basement apartment. I couldn't even afford my $800 a month. I was doing it part-time real estate, and I was a full-time district manager for Echo Shoes, or they made me that, and I was opening up 4 or 5 stores. And so I would work at the store until about 6 o'clock.
Okay.
And then I remember my first client, I would drive out to Brampton. And I was doing it every day. And it almost knocked me out of the business.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I was like, this is crazy. I get up in the morning, 6 a.m. I open the store. I work a full shift. And now I'm going to drive over to Brampton.
After 6,
After 6 and get there for 7, do showing 7, 8, and 9. And I'd be home by 10. And every day, I showed every house in Brampton. It was crazy.
My God.
And it almost knocked me out of the business, to tell you the truth.
So what kept you going?
They called me. I was up in North Bay.
Okay.
At the time, I was driving a $1,200 Audi.
Okay.
20-year-old Audi.
Love it.
Yeah, that I bought for $1,200
V6.
I don't even know what it was. No, you're talking about box. We're talking box style, right?
Fair enough.
I
We're
bought
lucky
it. I
if
bought it from a
turns on.
pastor. I negotiated
No
a pastor
way.
down from $3,500 down to $1,200.
No way.
Yeah, yeah.
And there are the negotiation skills.
Well, yeah, I
There.
used time pressure
It
on him.
started
He
there.
had to jump on the plane the next day. He said, "What do you got?" I got $1,200. He goes, "Oh, just give it to
Just
me."
give it to me.
Yeah, yeah. So it just sort of
Wow.
worked out that way.
Okay.
And I was driving and showing them houses every day. And then I said, yeah, I'm pretty much out. I'm done.
Right.
I was up in North Bay visiting a
right.
friend.
Okay.
And I get this call.
Mm-hmm.
We found the house of our dreams.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I go, what do you mean?
Right.
Yeah. And this was the third call. I think I'd already ignored them a few times. And they said, no, you have to call voicemail, call me back,
And
call me
who
back.
was saying you have to call?
My client.
Your client.
Client's calling me to call them back. Because I was like,
while you're working as a district manager.
And I was up on the weekend up in North Bay visiting a friend.
Right. Got it.
So I get this call in winter and it was like -30 up there, I remember. So anyways,
wow.
And she goes, no, we found the house of our dreams. I go, so what do you mean you found the house? Yeah, we were at an open house. And I go, okay, yeah. We want to place an offer. And I was like, no way. So I jump in my car. I go to the parking lot. First of all, the car wouldn't start.
Right,
Who knew
right.
-30, you have to plug in the battery. I didn't know. The
course.
first time I'm up in North Bay. So I get it towed to a garage. They heat it up.
It's winter.
And it's winter. So they just heat it up and they
Yeah.
get it started. I fly down there.
Yeah.
And we place an offer and went back and forth and we ended up buying the house.
Nice.
I didn't know at the time because, I was new in real estate. I come from a very, very humble, poor background.
Okay.
And if someone tells me that their budget's $400,000, I think their budget's $400,000.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. You can go to 450, 475, 500, especially being a new agent. That's the difference again, working with an experienced agent versus a new agent.
There it is.
I had no idea. And someone tells me 400, I put 400 as my limit. For me, where does someone come up with an extra 100 G's?
Right.
So she's looking at a house closer to 500. I've only been showing houses at 400.
Right.
I can't find anything.
Not a
even
dollar
though
more. Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough.
And
yeah.
then now she goes, yeah, no, let's negotiate on this house. I go, but it's
Yeah.
500,000. I go to her. I remember.
Yeah.
And
Oh, you questioned her.
oh yeah.
Wow. Okay. And what
I
did
go,
she
but
say?
it's 500,000. I go, and she goes, yeah, well, my daughter's going to move into the basement.
Nice.
So this has a basement apartment. I go, oh wow, that's fantastic.
Right.
And I'm thinking to myself, I wish you had told me that sooner.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not her fault.
Mm-hmm.
That's my fault being an inexperienced agent.
You didn't ask the
that
right
I didn't ask the right questions. And a lot of agents you'll hear, even experienced agents that just have never actually gotten the true experience or knowledge of how to be a professional real estate agent. They sit there and they say buyers are liars. And if I ever hear they get shut down so fast, I go, no,
Mm-hmm.
you're just not asking the right questions. You're just not probing and finding out what they really want and what they're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they say, hey, all of a sudden, yeah, I can go to 500, that's not their fault. You didn't ask that question, right? What if there was a basement apartment? Would it still be 400 or could you go to 450, 500? And then all of a sudden they'll answer it, right?
That information was essentially always there. You just never.
Exactly.
Wow.
But now it looks like they're the ones who did something wrong. And that's how a lot of agents do it. And those agents are usually out of the business in a short period of time because they can't figure out the business. And so that's where experience comes in.
That's where it comes
right?
in. And that only comes from transactions.
Transactions,
right?
dealing with clients, going through the experience itself. And that almost knocked me out of the business.
Right.
All right. I could have been one of those casualties.
Yeah.
80% of the agents are out of the business within 2 years, believe it or not, 2 or 3 years. It's some ridiculous stat. And this is why they can't figure it out. They don't have experience. And in this industry, it's very hard to find someone who's going to help. And another reason why you should consider joining up with a team. If you're having difficulties figuring this out, you should be joining up with a team who's going to share knowledge with you like I do.
And we have that on our team, right?
Yeah.
We have a system in place where we are bringing new agents on. And, Right. So
and usually within the first 2 trainings. And it just happened again. The right after the training seminar, which I do personally.
Nice.
I walked up and I walked up to her and she said, "Thank you. I've been in business. I'm on my license for 2 years.
2 years.
I've been with these other brokerages, and in 2 years, in two sessions, 2 training sets, I've learned more than I have in 2 years in the business."
Incredible.
Yeah. And so this happens over and over and over. So I know at least I'm doing something right.
Well, you know what the brokerages are saying.
Yeah.
Once you're on the other side, it's like, it's all, well, we'll give you 100 leads a week.
Yeah.
Well, what is that going to do for me? If I don't know how to go about the system, how to go through the process.
Yeah.
What you said, if I'm not asking the right questions, thanks
Yeah.
for the 100 leads.
Yeah.
But that's no money in my pocket.
Well, it's 100 leads, and then what kind of leads are there? Number one.
Exactly.
Number two is
Mhm.
if you have no clue of conversion, you can get 1,000 leads. If your conversion is 0,
Then what?
it's just a lot of waste of time.
Right.
Right. So
They can promise you 10,000.
yeah,
leads.
you convert 0. You convert
Who
0.
cares?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, exactly. And
So I think that's what it is, though. It's a lot of that promise is always on the table when you sign up with
not
them.
with me.
And it's, right.
I'm totally
so
different.
that's where I think it's a big key difference.
Yeah, someone comes in, how many leads you're getting? I said it doesn't work like that here.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
And that's the beauty of it.
Yeah. And
you can't, if as you said,
I'm real.
conversions is 0.
I'm real. I
What's
don't
the
have
value?
I don't have time to make false hopes for people.
Right.
I'm here to try and train you as quickly as possible so you can start earning an income as possible. And I think we've created more 6-figure agents in this industry on this team than anybody in the entire GTA. So, which is a nice stat that I like to put out there, and it's amazing that we're able to do something like that, and that I'm able to help people achieve this kind of goal, because it's a big goal for a lot of people. It's the first step of making it to that next level, is when you hit that 6-figure income and you're like, wow, I just made 6 figures in a year. That's crazy.
Right.
And we're talking 6 figures net. Not this gross.
And that's what,
not
you
this
know it.
gross.
You know
oh
it.
yeah,
They put that number in front of you.
I made 150,000 gross, and then and then I gave back this much money, and I spent this much on gifts, and I made
10 grand last year.
Yeah, I took a loss.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Right.
Yeah.
No, and I think that says a lot about the podcast. It's like someone to begin a podcast like this, you can only do it once you have so many transactions in place. Once you create so many agents that have 6 figures.
And the other thing, I'm glad you're bringing up transactions, because you have to look at transactions. Because I have agents, I remember negotiating with this one agent, and he's been around. He goes, I've been around. You can't tell me. I've been around. I've been around for 20 years. Or 30 years. He was saying something ridiculous. Honestly, I think he had a drink. He was negotiating, because he called me the next day and apologized.
Interesting.
Because I literally told him,
Before he came in here?
Listen, it's not relevant how many years you've been in the business. I've done 100 transactions this year.
Yeah.
All right. And it's only June.
Right.
And this was 5-10 years ago. I can't remember. And so, so you probably, I didn't say it.
So what do you say to someone like that?
I said, because I just told him, listen, this is how it's going to go. I'm going to place you an offer. You're going to present that offer to your seller.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to review it, and then you're going to sign it back. I'm going to present it to my buyer. I'm going to review it with my buyer, and then we're going to sign it back, and hopefully we're going to come to terms. So I'm sending you over the offer. For this guy, because he was going off the deep end.
Right.
So you just got to calm him down, get him into the zone, get him refocused of what his job is. And sometimes that's negotiations. Just getting the other agent on board. Like sometimes they're just going off the deep end, and you just got to get them back into the zone of, listen, this is your job. Present the offer, please. And then we'll take it from there. Right? Don't go off on me. I'm coming with an offer here. And we got the deal done.
And you got it done.
Yeah, we got the deal done.
But you had to set the tone, because he was.
In that case, I did.
Sometimes that happens, I assume.
The great thing about real estate, it's always different. Every scenario is different, because people are different.
Right.
I mean, we all look the same. We all got 5 fingers. We all, eyes, nose, ears, whatever. We all eat. We all go to the washroom. Right? But we're all different.
Right.
We all think a little bit differently. And therefore, you have to be able to adjust. And successful real estate agents know how to adjust to their clients, where unsuccessful agents tend to for some reason, think that the client should adjust to them. And we don't work that way. And I train my team members. We don't work that way.
So you kind of read the room to whatever conversation that you have.
Yeah.
You read the room, and then you take it. It's not like, well, this is what you do.
I can quickly connect with people. I can feel them. Right? I can sense. I've been around for a long time. Right.
Right.
It's not reading the room. It's reading the person.
Reading the person.
Yeah.
I see.
How they're taking the information, how it's sitting, and then asking the right questions. Like, making sure that you're getting the right information.
Right.
One of the biggest sales thing any salesperson does is assume stuff. You know, and I remember early, and this is before real estate. One of my coworkers and I was designing something, and I remember going to him. He goes to me. I go, oh, well, I thought that's what the client wanted, right?
Right.
And he goes, and he was the project manager. I was a computer programmer at the time.
Okay.
And I was fairly new.
Okay.
And he goes, listen, Hans, just remember this, and it's stuck in my head. To
this date.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
It's stuck in my head. He goes, when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. I'm sure you heard it. Maybe
I've heard it. Yeah.
But he said it so so it makes me think. It made me think a lot, which helped into my sales career.
Right.
Not to assume, because sometimes it feels like, oh, that's what they must be thinking. And then all of a sudden, you ask a few questions and it's not what they're thinking at all.
You assume wrong.
You assumed wrong. And in real estate, you can't do that because we're dealing with $1 million homes here in people's dreams. And so it's high pressure. And what you might think is right, they might not think is right. And who's always right? The client's always right, especially in real estate.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's their home. They're the one who's buying it.
It's funny how it always comes back to asking the right questions. That's what it really is.
A lot of it does. And gaining that knowledge. And a lot of clients, they don't want to share it with you. What do you do then?
Right. What do you do then? Well, then experience comes into play.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah. Sounds good. Yeah. So we were talking about Richmond Hill.
Sure.
We're talking about Richmond Hill, and that's where you started.
Okay. What was the question on that one? Sorry.
The latest trends in the real estate market that you specialize in. So Richmond Hill.
Okay, so the latest trends in Richmond Hill, what we're seeing right now is definitely we're seeing the market appreciate.
Okay.
We're back into a full-blown seller's market. We just did 5.2 inflation, so that was a big drop. It was something I predicted well in advance. If you see our Instagram story, you can see that I'm predicting 2% by the middle of the year. A lot of people are in disagreement or in disbelief, but I've been in the business long enough to calculate that. And now I literally called this drop to be 5.2. I said it's going to be 5.2. I also said the last one is going to be under 6%. A lot of people were commenting back or telling me, Hans, you can't say something like that. We're going to raise interest rates and the inflation is going to go up. And one of my clients who I just listed, she goes, yeah, I was talking. He's a really well-off guy. He owns a $10 million house. And I was asking you what's going to happen on this release, the last release. And you said the interest rates are not going up and inflation's coming down. He goes, no, we're going to follow the states and we're going to raise interest. That's what he said. And he's a pretty well-off business guy, right?
Yeah.
And then she goes, the next day the release came out, or 2 days later, the release came out and she called him up and you go, see?
No way.
Hans was right?
Wow.
Yeah. Interest rates didn't go up and inflation came down. And now I even nailed it down to the 5.2%. And that's just, again, I've been through.
How are you coming to these conclusions? Like these numbers and whatnot?
Everything's numbers.
It's experience?
Experience and numbers.
I see.
Right? My brain just crunches numbers. It's, I don't know. It's able to predict numbers.
I see.
It's a skill of mine. I don't know. I played chess. I was my school chess champion 2 years in a row.
Oh, no way. Okay.
Back when I lived in Sweden.
You still play?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice.
My little guy just joined a chess club.
Nice. That's awesome.
He's 6. So,
I
think chess is definitely a game of life, which I think you agree with.
Yeah.
Right? You mentioned to me that you agree with that.
I got to show you a picture of it. I have it right on my room. And
chess is truly a game of life because it helps you predict the future.
I got 2 lines. Life is a chess game.
Yeah.
And goal without a plan is simply a wish.
Yeah.
So those are the 2 lines.
Are great. Yeah,
those are the 2 lines that I wake up and see every day.
Yeah.
So Richmond Hill. So when we're talking about,
off topic again,
no, you're good. You're good. It's all good. Richmond Hill. You're saying it's booming. It's going up. It's all
okay.
So how much time do they have before we're?
So if you just want to get to stats and what should a buyer be doing right now? So in November, December, I was advising all my team members and their clients because the team members bring the questions from the clients. I was telling everyone we're in the bottom of the market. We've bottomed out, or we bottomed out.
When was this?
November, December.
November, December. Okay.
So that was the bottom of the market. The problem is nobody believes until it's history, until it's in the past. And then it's too late. Right. And then January 25th, the Bank of Canada came out and said that they're not raising interest rates or not planning to. And there was still a major doubt. So we have to then use our experience and advise as best as possible that, yeah, they're not raising interest rates and inflation's coming down really quickly, which is why it came out in January that inflation's going to hit 2% by July, August of this year and drop under 2% of the second half of the year. Number one, the numbers are showing me this. Number two, the quickest increase in interest rates in history take a little bit of time to actually kick in and have an effect. And now when that came out, all of a sudden we saw 50% of the buyers say, okay, if they're not raising interest, 50% of the buyers believe what he's saying. The other 50% buyers wait on the sideline. And now we got the first time buyers out and they're coming out in droves and they're buying. And what happens is the foundation of townhouses and semi-detached and condos start pushing up in value. Now, if I own a townhouse and my first time came in and paid $50,000 more than I expected because the market's going up, now what do? I go out and buy my detached home, but I got $50,000 more. Or leveraged, it's almost 100, 200. Well, it's actually 5 times. So if you think 50,000, it's $250,000 more leverage. If down payment's what's stopping me. In this case, a lot of people, it's their income that's stopping them. So in some cases it's not, but in this case, in a lot of cases it is right now. So now, but I have $50,000 more. So let's say now I can go out and buy for $100,000 more on my detached house because I got $50,000.
Now you qualify for a 1
Yeah, instead of 1.1, I can qualify for 1.2, 1.3, or whatever it is, right?
Right.
And then the next cycle kicks in. So right now we are in March. The first time buyers are out in droves, like they're out everywhere, which shows that there's a solid foundation for the real estate market. Now with this announcement,
sorry to cut you off.
Yeah.
But these first time buyers, who are they? Are they immigrants coming in? Are they university students moving out? What would you say majority are?
Well, a lot of people who are just maturing. Like everyone ages, right? Everyone goes from 24 to 25 to 26 to 27, and somewhere in there, they're going to start looking at buying a house as soon as they get out of university. And nowadays, some of these kids are coming out with $80,000, $100,000 incomes, especially if they're getting into the tech field of somewhere 100,000. Some starting positions are coming out with 120,000. And so a lot of people are, how's the housing market going up? Well, look at the starting rate for the most demand jobs out there, which is all tech, right? And they're paying starting 80,000 for a beginner, right? And now you got 2 of them
with commission.
And now at 20, after 25, 26, 27, what do they do? Well, one tech person making 80, 100 meets up another tech person making 100,000. Now I'm making 200,000. You're wondering why the housing pricing's going up, right?
Nice.
Yeah.
So that's a nice way. Okay.
Beautiful. Yeah, and so those guys are entering into the market. Some of them are moving to Toronto because Toronto is the fastest growing city in North America. We have one of the strongest tech foundations. What do they call it? I think it's from Guelph down. There's a certain specific name for it. Sorry, I forgot.
Public transit, you mean?
No, we're the tech corridor.
Oh, the tech corridor.
Yeah, we have one of the after Silicon Valley.
Right.
People don't know this, but we're number 2.
I didn't know that.
There you go.
Is that a fact?
Yes, it is.
Wow.
Yeah, we're number 2, and we are now racing really quickly to actually match up with Silicon Valley.
So all these people saying, "Oh, Toronto had its growth," don't bother. No, it's on the
growth of what?
Like with let's say I have money to spend on real estate. The first thing that so many people go to is Toronto had its growth. Go to Richmond Hill or Newmarket. They're about to experience big growth. Toronto already had its big growth.
Everything starts in Toronto. You need your core. So Toronto is the core.
Right.
You need your core to, once the core goes up, then it pushes outwards.
I see.
It's not just go to Richmond Hill. So what happens is my condo goes from 800 to 1.2 million.
Right.
Now, maybe most people who are buying condos are younger generation tends to be, or nowadays they've actually built subdivisions where it makes you feel like they have all these nice amenities, which is a really push from the condo world to keep people in the condo world, right?
Very
and keep them
affordable
down
too.
Yeah. And you get the
Crazy.
pools, you get the outdoor barbecues, you get the walk pathways to the beaches. So there's a lot of amenities Toronto's
Right.
at that people like.
Right.
And a lot of people downsize into Toronto as well, right? As
Right.
they get older, they
Right.
want to live downtown as well.
I never thought about that, but
But a lot of people want to move out and get into a detached house. And
Right.
you're not going to really be able to do that in Toronto. You got to go north. And the natural move is to move from the core and move north.
Right.
Even if you're in North York, the natural move is to move to Vaughan Richmond Hill. The Vaughan Richmond Hill moves to Newmarket Aurora. The Newmarket Aurora moves to Bradford and Barrie.
Whatever. Yeah,
Keswick,
right.
Bradford,
Right,
Barrie,
right.
Keswick, right?
Right.
More people are leaning towards Bradford and
Interesting.
and Barrie right now. But yeah, that's just a natural movement of things.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's how it shifts, I guess, as well.
Well,
we spoke about the gap the other day.
Yeah.
If you want to go through that really quick.
Yeah, we could talk about the gap. I mean, the gap is basically it's growing again. So when the market is decreasing, the gap between a townhouse and a townhouse and a detached home shrinks.
Okay.
So that's what was happening.
Okay.
And so we went out and told all our clients, now's the time to upsize. But the problem is they're scared. They're reading headline news. They're reading inflation. They're reading interest rates are going to keep going up. Yeah. And so we have to convince them that this is what's going to happen. But you can't fight a headline.
No,
you can't. It just
doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen. Right.
Yeah,
so
hard.
You sort of sit there, you give them the advice, and I still tell them, I know they're not going to agree with it, but just tell them that this is what's going to happen. Because here's what happens. All of a sudden in January, inflation comes down, in February, inflation comes down, which is what you were telling them. And all of a sudden they're looking at you and saying, well, how did you know that? Now, all of a sudden your credibility goes up. Now it's March and April. Now they're starting to think, okay, Shawn, what should I do?
I see.
Is now the time to buy? And they still might doubt because there's headlines still out there, right? And then you go and say, listen, interest rates are not going up, even though they're happening in the States, they're not going to happen here on March 9th or what it was, March 8th, I think it was.
Yeah.
Interest rates are not going up and inflation is going to come down to 5.2% on March 21st.
Right.
And now you said this at the end of February and the beginning of March, and they're going, oh, no. They're not going to tell you, but they're thinking, no, the states are raising, we're raising. And it's going to be a big mess. And then all of a sudden, out comes Bank of Canada. We're not raising interest rates. Inflation is under control and everything looks good. And then on March 21st, inflation goes to 5.2%. Now they start wondering, who is this guy?
Right.
And
you called it.
You called it, and we are good. We're not going to doubt you anymore. Now you can advise now you can help that client perfectly.
Because they have trust in you.
They've gained that trust. And they don't have that trust. You've earned that trust.
You truly have earned it.
You've earned it because you advised it, and what you advised happened. Even though they didn't act on it, they wanted to act on it, but they were too scared because the headlines are scaring them too much. And now they trust you. And when you have accuracy like I have in the 90 percentile range of accuracy, I mean, we have another agent out there right now, big agent in our area, and he's out there putting out, market's gonna, this is just a blip. Market's gonna drop on the second half, or this is just a temporary thing. The market's gonna drop in the second half. And I'm listening to this rant that he's going off for 2 minutes.
Right.
And I'm thinking, I hope nobody really listens to that.
Right.
Because what happens, and this is what if yes, there is a recession, but when a recession happens, what happens with interest rates?
They drop.
And what happens also if inflation comes down to under 2%, which now every bank is saying is going to happen. I don't care who is. I mean, the banks are saying it's going to happen.
Right.
And this is now well after I've already said it to my clients back in November.
Right.
I actually came out with the whole layout back in July last year and laid it out for my team, what's going to happen and just chill out during
like a timeline.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I do that all the time.
Wow.
And so And so now the second half of the year, interest rates are gonna come down. But what happens to real estate when interest rates come down?
Picks up.
Picks up.
Absolutely.
I'll give you an example of how much it picks up. So when COVID kicked in,
Yes.
and they tanked the interest rates,
Yes.
tanked it.
Yeah.
We had clients, and the one specific one, but it was more than one that said this. They said, I don't care if I get COVID and die. At these interest rates, I'm going to go out and buy a house. That's what he said. That's what people were saying. That's what drove the market, right?
Interesting.
Why? Because when you drop the interest rates, housing prices goes up. When housing prices are going up, it spurs your economy. Real estate's generating about 70% of your economy.
Really?
Yes.
Is that a global stat?
That's my Hans calculated.
That's
in my
Hans
brain
stat. Wow.
We control the economy.
Right.
We're the salespeople for the entire economy.
Very interesting.
Yeah. But when the government wants to slow the real estate, slow the economy like they want to do now, well, they raise interest rates. And when they raise interest rates, what happens to real estate? It halts, and starts to drop. And so that's what happened just now. Because why? Because the government wanted to slow the real estate market or slow the economy. And so that's what the government uses. They use their interest rate as their gas pedal and brake to control basically the real estate market, which is what's controlling our economy.
I love that metaphor. It is essentially their gas pedal, the interest rate.
Yeah. Now what happens is now they've raised the interest rates so much that inflation is going to tank, and it is tanking.
And it is.
Yeah. It's going to tank.
It did last week.
We're going to, it just dropped down to 5.2. It's going to be down to 2% in the middle of the year. And it's going to, and with the recession headlines coming in the second half of the year, which is intentional. And we need a recession. It's not a real recession. It's basically getting our economy from 110% down to 100% capacity.
Which is supposed to happen.
So when we get out of this so-called recession and we're at 100%, are we in a recession? No, we're at full capacity. But what they're going to be doing at that point in time is dropping interest rates. That's going to get the engine running again. So
prices go up.
Prices will be pushing up in 2024.
I see.
And then that's going to spark the entire economy. And then just in time for what I like to say, just in time for the U.S. elections.
Nice.
There you go.
So Trump recently also, you saw, I assume, he's electing. He's going up.
Oh, back last year. You know,
so that's huge. Is it not?
Well, I'm not getting into politics.
Got it.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
This is all a nice setup to have the economy working at full speed ahead.
The timing is spot on.
Timing to have the economy working full speed ahead.
Right.
Just in time the elections. You don't want to be in a downturn of the market for the elections. Now,
do you think we're going to get to the peak of March 2020? What was it? 2021? With the peak
2022.
2022.
Yeah, that was just last year.
Right.
So 1 year ago,
the peak.
we from February, March of the peak of last year, the prices came down by 30% in York region.
My God.
Almost the entire GTA.
Right.
Which is a big chunk of money for a lot of people.
Yeah.
It literally will wipe out most people's down payment. That could put them underwater, depending on their situation.
The market was insane. Do you remember the offers that were coming in?
Yeah, we were getting 30, 40, 50 offers. Very similar to 2017.
Insane.
Yeah. I called it actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I called it. So I call every market.
It was almost impossible. Like for you to see a house on the market, you would literally, the next thought that would come in your mind was, I'm probably not going to get it. There's at least 30 or 40 offers going on that I'm not going to get.
Yeah, but we're a listing brokerage. We're a listing team. So we specialize in listings and offer presentations. That's our forte. That's what we do better than anybody else. We've set more record prices than anybody else because we have the best system for offer presentations, which is people are trying to copy, but you can't copy what we do.
I mean, it's your specialty.
People are just not going to do what we do.
Right.
They're not going to spend 1.2 million on marketing.
Right.
They're not going to get up 9 o'clock in the morning and call every person who's seen the house from open houses to guests till 9 o'clock. And then they're not going to stay at the office till 1 o'clock in the morning negotiating that deal 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
They're just not going to do it.
Absolutely.
Where we just do that every Monday. I'm here every Monday doing
Casually.
that. Yeah. That's what we do.
You
right?
can't compete with that.
No.
no. There's no way. So that's crazy.
Yeah.
The amount of offers coming in for every house. So you said 2017, same thing happened?
Yeah, of course.
Interesting.
Yeah, that was a bigger that was the biggest market meltdown that we'd seen in the Toronto real estate, with the foreign buyer tax kicking in at the peak. The first they announced that they're not doing anything like that in November, and then in the peak of March or April 8th actually, they said yes, we're going to be putting in the foreign tax. And in the middle of the spring market, which you should never do, you should never interfere. They crashed the market, and it halted, and it just slid from there. All the way till 2018 of August.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a full-blown slide. So this is only a 6-month slide and we bottomed out. That was, I believe it was an 18-month slide. Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, we have a visitor. No, come on in, ask your question. Oh, I guess they didn't hear us.
Yeah.
Wow. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. So same thing, but we have passed the bottom of November,
well, we bottomed out in November, December. December was the actual bottom. January, we started going up. And now, so we dropped 30%. And people are going to be scratching their head. How is it possible? Well, how is it going to be going up at this interest rates? Well, first of all, the interest rates hike is being offset by the lower prices. So what we were calculating and showing our buyers is that, yeah, you're paying a higher interest rate, but the price is here. But your monthly is exactly the same as it was if you bought in the peak. Right? So might as well buy in now that you've bottomed out, even though you have a higher interest rate. Now, either go with a short-term fix is what we were advising people, or go with a variable. Now, if you go with the variable, what's going to happen in the second half of the year is that the interest rates are going to come down.
Nice.
So now you've bought at the bottom, even though your payments are a little bit higher, and now your interest rates start coming down. So your monthly's dropping. But the value of your home starts to skyrocket.
And that's where
this is the best dream scenario you could ever think of. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer if you can see it. If you can't see it, then it's a little bit complicated of how that works.
I see it now.
Yeah.
I fully see it.
Sure.
Interesting. Well, with the way you were explaining it, it all makes sense now.
Yeah. And how are you going to feel?
Right.
How are you going to feel when now you bought your $1 million home and let's say you're paying the $5,000 a month.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden now, in the second half of this year, or by the end of this year, you're paying $4,000 or maybe a little under $4,000 a month for that same $1 million home. But that $1 million home went to 1.2. You're paying less more.
Be disappointed if you didn't go through with it.
and that's the scenario that when you're working with someone who's experienced, they can explain it to you what's going to happen properly. They can show you. They can get you to understand what's really going to happen. And if you can get that, then, you can help someone make the right decision.
Right. And they can take advantage of what's about to happen.
Well, they can make a really, really educated decision.
I see.
Based on a very experienced person. Right. Because there's a lot of agents that give out advice that should not be giving out advice. They have no right to give out advice. They've done all of 10 transactions in the last 2 years. Right.
They're only trying to give out that advice to I guess, to sign the next client. But, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, I've seen agents come running in. Oh, my God. Who knew this was going to happen?
Yeah.
The market, I advised my client to buy first in the peak of the market.
Yeah.
And in the peak of the market, we told all our clients to sell.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
All our clients sell.
Just sell.
I had the person get on the client and convince every single client of our team that now's the time to sell. Sell first. We do not buy first in this market. And we're going to go with a long closing. And then you'll see the market cool. And then you'll be able to buy back in July and August at a much, much lower price. Now, imagine you sold and took that advice, which a lot of our clients did.
They did?
So, oh, yeah, for sure. Because I can explain it to them. So once I get on the phone and I explain it to them, they understand. Most agents can't do that. So that's negotiations again. But it's also experience. So now you sold your house up here.
Right.
And you got a long closing that's way over here.
Right.
And as the closing is coming, the pricing of the house you want to buy is sliding. So now you sold your house for at this point, I remember 1.8.
Yeah.
And the house they wanted to buy was 2. They were moving up to 2.2. And all of a sudden that house and more options were coming.
Right.
More options. The house went from 2.2 that they were looking at 2.3. And all of a sudden it was down to 1.8.
Wow.
And they bought in in a much bigger house into their dream house
Right.
at the same price.
Right.
And that happens at all different price. Like it could be at 1.5. We sold at a peak. You sold a townhouse for 1.5. You waited 3-4 months.
Yeah.
You got into a detached at 1.3.
My God.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And so that's why we're saying right now is the best time to
that
move
was my
up.
next question.
So now you sell your townhouse, for example, and it depends on where you are. But if you're selling like in Vaughan or in Richmond Hill, the townhouses are selling for 1.2 again.
Okay.
1.3. So we're almost approaching
The
peak of
peak of
2022. Right? So now we're approaching the 2022 peak. And what we're telling them is it takes time for it to move from Richmond Hill, Vaughan to get up to Newmarket and Bradford, right? There's a certain process that has to occur. So now sell your townhouse right now at 1.2, whatever it is we can get you for, the record price using offer presentation.
Right.
And you can get in at the time, you could get it into a detached house, 4-bedroom, double car garage, 2,400 square feet in Newmarket, in one of the best locations, Woodland Hills in Newmarket, for 1.2.
My God. Wow.
Right?
It's that gap.
Yeah. But then they ask, well, the headlines, Hans, the headlines are saying there's a recession coming.
Yeah.
So I got to answer that question. And then, but Hans, you know, what do you think's going to, how is the interest rates, how's that going to affect the market? I have to answer that question. Right. And then Hans, okay, but you know, what if the interest rates keep going up and my monthly keeps going up? So I have to have a solution for that question and that fear. So every step of the way, as an experienced real estate agent in 20 years, selling over 3,000 transactions and guiding so many people in the right direction, I have answers for those questions.
Right, because you've been there.
I've been there, done it.
With someone else, right.
And now more for me, it's more child's play. That's why I'm onto the podcast world.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's how we got here.
Yeah, that's what we're doing here.
That was. That's great.
I know.
So question, would you put an offer down for something before you've sold your current property?
Absolutely not.
You would not.
No, I mean, we can time it perfectly. And we did that for one of our clients and he was ecstatic. So the goal is to try and do it at the exact same time.
I see.
And you need to be advised properly to be able to pull that off.
I see.
Yeah.
But more often than not, you would sell.
Well, it's like stocks at that point.
Right.
So before you invest, they have you sign a disclosure and they ask you what your risk tolerance is. Right. Are you high risk tolerance, low risk tolerance, no risk tolerance?
Oh, yeah.
Right. And most people in real estate is no risk tolerance, right? So then you shouldn't be buying first. Now, there are scenarios where you can, and you know, we can always go through that if we want to.
On a case-to-case basis. Yeah.
Right. And it's everyone's individual, everyone's scenario is different, everyone's financial situation is different. Right. And it's my job as a real estate agent to find that out, to make sure I'm comfortable with the decision they're making, right?
Right. That's
I got to feel comfortable. I'm not just going to put someone into a position that's just going to, turn
They're going to go crazy.
You know, a lot of people but Hans, how am I going to find... How am I going to find that next? What if we sell our house? Yeah. This is the biggest question out there. Yeah. What if we sell our house?
We sell our house.
and I can't find my dream, I can't find the next home or my dream home. And I go to them first and foremost. I tell them about our process. Okay. Which puts them at ease. Right. And then I go, and just so you know, I've never had a scenario where the seller has sold their home and now they're standing on the front door with their suitcases and saying, we have nowhere to go. It's never happened in my career. It probably wouldn't be good for my public image. Yeah. But it wouldn't be good. No.
How many transactions you said? 3,000?
We're at 3,000 transactions.
And not once?
Not once.
Wow. Yeah. They always found an Airbnb or something, or?
No, we found them a house.
It was always, wow.
Everything's into place. You can't just move someone without having the pieces into place. Right. And that's if you're advising someone wrong. And that's where the people that are buying in the peak market and getting advised by other agents at a wrong time.
Go to an Airbnb. Right.
No, what go to an Airbnb? Yeah. Now you bought at 1.5 and the value of your house is sliding.
Every day. Yeah.
On a week-to-week basis. And you don't even have your house ready because you figure, the market's just going to keep on going up. Right. And that's just, unfortunately, the public, gets into the hype and that's what they do. Yeah. But 100%, you have to be advised. The point is you have to be advised properly.
Right,
the agent has to know what questions to ask to make sure that, a lot of people think they're making the right decision.
Right. Yeah.
But then, someone like me comes along. Did you think about this? Did you think about that?
And it makes them
Did you consider these factors? And what happens if this happens? And what happens if that happens? And a lot of agents don't have the experience to even know what ifs.
What ifs, right?
Yeah, they don't know what the what ifs are. So how can they ask the question if they don't know what the what ifs are?
Right. That's a very good point.
Yeah. And so another reason why to work with an experienced agent and check your Instagram account, see what kind of stories they have, see what kind of after we do this podcast, we're going to do a phenomenal story with one of our team members that we just did an offer presentation for, set a record price, and we brought in the buyer. And so we're going to do that right after this. So you go check our Instagram page after that and go check out this story. You guys are going to love it.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait. Who's it with?
Cheyenne and Kusha.
Oh, nice.
Two young guns on our team.
I love that.
Yeah.
No, they're very
And
successful.
I sat there with them until 1 o'clock. Successful young guns for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
I sat there until 1 o'clock in the morning on a Monday, negotiating and working with them and working with the seller.
Right.
And in this case also, advising Kusha. He brought in the buyer of what we should be doing here.
And it worked out. That Monday night, it was.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then at the end of the day, it sold for a record price, and seller's happy, buyer's happy, everyone's happy, and the seller only paid a 0.5% commission because we double into that deal. We brought in the buyer as well, right?
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I love that.
Hey,
speaking
here's
of the
Kusha. I think he's ready to go to do this.
Amazing.
To do this next story. So check it out on Instagram. Take a look at Instagram account. It's the Hans Team Real Estate Instagram account. And you're going to see this phenomenal story coming up. And we'll take it from there. Anyways, as you can see, we gotta get on to the next thing. It was a great interview.
We're going
Sean, I really appreciate great first podcast. I think a lot of great information.
Incredible. That was great.
Yeah.
Looking forward to the next one.
Next week.
100%. Same time, same place.
Sounds good.